What's up, everybody? This is Anthony from Amped Airsoft, and today we're going to be going over part 2 of my MilSim West kit and stuff for my Op0r8durr series. We're going to go over my sustainment gear and basically what I do to sleep and carry all the food and stuff that I need. So check it out. Alright guys, so now I'm a little bit more comfortable, took off some of my stuff, so now we're just going to go through it. As you can see, I switched to a comfy hat, and we're just going to walk through everything that I got. This right here is a Tactical Tailor extended operator pack in Ranger Green. That is my main ruck. That is the basis for this entire system. I chose this ruck on purpose for the features that it has, and I'll be going through them as I go through everything piecemeal, but just bear in mind that the reason I have everything laid out is because of this ruck, and I have this ruck because I wanted things laid out this way. There are going to be a few weak points to this, namely, as you can see, I have my assault pack that I would carry generally out on patrol and all that stuff attached to my ruck. This has a problem for HPA users that I'm going to be real honest with you. Most of the time your lines aren't going to be long enough to reach your weapon. That's why for like MilSim West especially, like I really advocate for either air stocks or the upcoming Wraith system, what I'm thinking of picking up, or even like AEGs, like high-end AEGs for your weapon systems, because it's really hard to run a tank all the way back here and run a line that's long enough that won't be too long whenever you take it off and you run your pack standalone. So as you can see, with my ruck, it's swift clipped on. This is the mil-spec monkey version. This is the adapt pack, but also the Tactical Tailor removable operator pack and the Grey Ghost Gear stealth operator pack are all the same. They come with a Molly on swift clip, as well as 2 more swift clips that you can mount horizontally. And basically I have my A bag attached on 4 points of contact. So when I drop my ruck, it makes it very easy for me to just get my A bag off and go out on patrol. So now I have my ruck with all my sustainment gear dropped somewhere. Then I have my A bag that I'm going to take with me on patrol. We've already went through everything that's in here in the last video, so we're not going to go through it now. I'm not going to waste your time. But basically, water, first aid, HPA tank if I'm going to carry that type of gun, extra batteries and stuff if I'm not, just general like what you need with you all the time type stuff. We're going to sit this back here with my weapon and my helmet. Now, as we look at the ruck, the big thing about it is it's covered in molly. So if you don't want to run an A bag like in that type of sense, you have plenty of molly real estate in order to add more pouches to it. It's a very flexible pack because you can adjust it however you see fit. And like I said, I have these swift clip systems built in, mollied on. That way I can clip off my A bag and get rid of it. So what we'll do now is we'll go over all the stuff that I have on the external of the pack. Then we'll go over the pack itself a little bit more. Generally up top, I like to carry faction color specific hats. Today I just threw some Cad Pat boonies on here, but generally I either have like a multicam hat, like a ball cap. Sometimes I'll put my helmet up here if I'm swapping out to a hat to keep cool. Just depends on my mood. At Clash, I generally just ran a hat the whole time. I didn't even take my helmet on the field. So because I broke my GoPro case. So I didn't have a camera with me, so I didn't need my helmet. This bungee cord system up here is really nice for carrying all of your hats and stuff like that and tying off other loose things. It's good for stuff like that. It means I can easily just pull it from behind my head to swap out if I need it. I also keep like fuzzy caps, like cold weather caps here too. Very, very convenient. On the sides, the extended operator pack has tie-down straps. Now generally what these are for are to cinch down the loads inside the bag to compact the bag in to make sure that it doesn't have as big of a profile. But also they make it very convenient to carry external load. So what I have right here is I have a waterproof multicam tarp. This is about 2 ponchos wide. This is a very big tarp. It's super lightweight. I made some bungee cords to keep it rolled up. It's got D-rings all along it. It's a made in America. We'll have all the annotation for the brands and all that stuff about it down on the side of the shot, so just pay attention to it. Highly recommend this tarp. Super nice. Was super great in Ohio for AOV when it was pouring down rain. It's wonderful. On the other side, I have a USGI Woodland Bivy. Bivy sacks are super important. I preach the choir to this. Okay. Bivy sacks came originally in the 3-piece USGI sleeping system. They were probably the best part of the sleeping system. The original sleeping system came with a black bag, which is for cold weather, that went inside of a green bag, which was for warmer weather, which you can add together to make it work in even colder temperatures, and then this Bivy sack completely on the outside. Bivy sack is made of Gore-Tex. Depending on which year it was made, it'll have different camo schemes on it. I personally like the OG Woodland ones. They also come in ACU and multicam and all those fun colors depending on how new the sleep system is that you're buying. But I don't use any of the other bags. I don't like the other bags. I don't think they're really that great, but the Bivy Sack is clutch. The Bivy Sack is waterproof, so if you can't set up a shelter, like right here, if you can't build a shelter, at the very least, you have a little dry spot you can curl up into to keep comfortable in a downpour. I carry this with me all the time when I go backpacking and stuff like that. And then also, likewise, rolled up inside my Bivy Sack is one of my favorite possessions of all time. And as you can see, the Bivy Sack is huge. So it's very accommodating. But inside, I have one of my favorite military possessions ever. And that is my Whoopie. Now, I'm not gonna go into a whole lot of the history of the Whoopie, but suffice it to say, this is a Poncho Liner. It's probably the best, most happy, comfortable thing ever issued to me ever. And this has been all over the world with me. And I love it. It's been in Iraq, it's been in countries in Europe, it's been in every state, in almost every Canadian province that I've been to. So the only state in America it hasn't been to is Hawaii. So this is wonderful. These things are super great. They're super light. They're very, very packable. They keep you warm even when they're wet, and I wholeheartedly recommend them. And once again, like the Bivy Sack, depending on the year it was made, you can get them in all sorts of different colors. So I just like my OG Woodland one from the early 2000s. Stinks like freedom. All right, also on the bottom of my ruck, I have a Thermarest ridge rest. I prefer the ridge rest over the Z folding ridge rest and the inflatable mattresses because you can't break this. This is also the lightest mat that they make, but the problem is it's hard to pack, which is why generally I keep it off the bottom of my ruck because it's a little hard to get real tight and small, but it's super light and you can't break this unlike an inflatable mattress. I've seen a lot of people pop inflatable mattresses on long hikes and stuff like that. I prefer these for their simplicity. You can also get thermal ones that have a shiny side that you can put up or down depending on if you want to feel the warmth of or the cold of the ground versus not. But I highly just recommend these just in general. Super great rests, super cheap. You can't really mess these up. You can't break them. Last but not least, on my external features of my ruck, I have a USGI Etool. Now this one in particular is a Gerber Etool. You should carry one of these. It helps for putting out fires and it helps for digging entrenched positions. You should always have one of these with you if you're going to go out on an event that's like this, or just in general out in the wilderness. It's always useful to have a shovel. Now if we go over the back side of the ruck, what we can tell immediately is this is an internal frame ruck. It has an adjustable height for your kidney pad, so this is good for adjusting for taller people or shorter people. As you can see, it's generally made to about a medium size. It doesn't really get much smaller than that, so if you're a really super short dude, this might not be the ruck for you. But the whole thing is made of 1000 denier Cordura. This one, like I said, is in Ranger Green. It has all ITW hardware. Load lifter straps on the top to help adjust the weight on your frame however you want it, as well as padding, all Air Max padding all over the inside, and a really nice kidney belt. Love this ruck. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start going through all the stuff that's on the internal side of the pack. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go from the top to the bottom. To be fair, there are a couple things missing from the ruck that I kind of forgot to throw in here, but I'll mention those along the way, hence why there's a little bit of space still. So going from the top, there's a pouch on the top right here. I like to keep a spare dry bag. This is in case I find things that I need, you know, like maps, extra clothing items, stuff like that. Or if someone has stuff that they didn't bring, Ziploc baggies or stuff to keep their stuff dry in, spare dry bag. Also, as you can see, this has a lot of 550 cord wrapped around it. I also use this as a bear bag when I go on hiking trips. So this is an REI dry sack. Throw this up in the tree, tie it off. Bears don't eat your food. Real smart thing. All right, generally up here I also keep my toiletries and stuff like that. So to be fair, I also have deodorants, toothbrushes, and stuff like that up here. Don't have them in here for right now. Ibuprofen, non-addictive, really good for your aches and pains, keeps you from being super sore. I highly recommend keeping a small bottle of some kind of pain reliever with you in case you roll your ankle or something like that. These chances are, if you're hiking with a ruck like this and you roll your ankle out in the wilderness, there's no one coming to get you. So you're gonna have to actually be able to self-extract. So a little bit of pain reliever is just enough to take the edge off, makes hiking out a lot easier. A spare sight, spare rear sight. I generally don't always run my optic on my rifle. Right now I have a ACOG 4X zoom on it, but a spare rear sight is really helpful in case, like, you know, if I have an illuminated optic, it breaks, or if my zoom optic gets its lens shot out. I have an iron sight, so I can still line up my sights on my rifle fairly easily. I mean, it's airsoft, it's not super important, but I always carry it just in case. It's an old holdover from the Army. This one right here in particular is a Crytac one. I like it because it's pretty well built. The sight isn't wobbly or anything like that and doesn't have any loose slop to it, so keep this one around. A spare spoon. Always keep a spare spoon on you. Mountain houses don't come with spoons, and MREs sometimes they forget to put them in. Always keep a spare spoon, so I always have an extra one. Extra medication. I happen to be slightly asthmatic, so I do keep extra inhalers and stuff with me here. But if you have extra medications or anything like that, always smart to keep them with you. Then finally, I have a multicam USGI poncho. This really isn't so much for building shelters or anything like that. This is mainly just in case I need to walk with my full ruck setup on. I can just drape this over me to keep my ruck dry. But other than that, I generally don't use this. I actually usually lend this out to people who forget stuff. So, because I'm a nice guy. So that goes over everything in the top. Now we're gonna go into the meat of the bag. One of the cool things about the bag is it is a clamshell design. So I can unzip it all the way along both sides and the entire ruck folds open, which is super swag, right? It's super swag. You can open it all up and you can get to all the stuff inside. Right here you have a double pull through, so you can go in from both sides. What I keep in here is I keep extra attachment systems for various things. So extra buckles, like an entire extra buckle kit, hip belts, Quasm clips, Swift clips. Everything is in here in case I snap a buckle or someone else snaps a buckle on like their chest rig or their plate carrier or whatever. I have extra buckles and nylon strapping for them. Bungee cords, stuff like that. Also, a simple toolkit. Simple toolkit is mega super important because you never realize how much you need this until you break your gun. Underneath the toolkit itself, there's a couple extra buckings and stuff in there. Generally, since I have HPA stuff, I don't have to worry about like stripping internal parts and carrying extra gearboxes and stuff like that, but you know, there's extra little internal parts floating around in there as well. This right here is my sleep system. This is a North Face Cat's Meow. It's a temperate weather bag. It's not one for super cold weather, but it's really light, really packable, keeps you warm when it's wet, which is super important. And if you couple that with the Whoopee, aka my Poncho Liner, and my Gore-Tex Bivy Sack, I can take this down to like 10 to 15 degree weather or more colder. So it'll keep me warm even with those extra things. It's a great bag. Newer versions have a much better compression sack than this one. This is the old one, so the compression bag is not really that great. But I love this bag. You can pick it up at most high-end outdoor shops where you can find it on North Face's website. Food. Now, this is a big contention point among a lot of people. A lot of people are super pro Mountain House. Some people aren't. Now, my suggestion is for your first couple of MSW events or any long-term MilSim events that you have in whatever area you go to, maybe you go to Crucible, maybe you play one overseas if you're from like the UK. I always say to start out with MREs, and it's very simple. The reason is it should come with a heating element and all the stuff you need to cook it in the bag. You don't have to get extraneous stuff. Now, Mountain Houses and freeze-dried meals are super great because they're tasty and they're really like morale boosting because you can cook it and it's nice and warm, but the problem is you need extra equipment. Typically, I don't use Mountain Houses on MSW, but I use Mountain Houses when I go on backpacking trips. It's really great for those, but you know, you do have to carry extra equipment. So that means that I'm gonna move on to my cook set. Now, a lot of dudes use the jet boils and stuff like that. I'm not really a super big fan of the jet boil, to be honest with you. I think it's a little overpriced for what it is. And for the weight savings, the system that I have here weighs half as much as a jet boil system. This is the GSI Duelist Micro. This is a cook set. So in case some sad sack out there is really super mopey and he doesn't have a friend, this is an entire cook set for 2 people. All right? So I got 2 pots, 2 cups, 2 spoons. I can also fit my stove in here if I really want to. Lids, and the sack also turns into a wash sack. So what I can do is I can take all of my dishes, fill this with water and some soap, wash out my stuff. I use this on all my backpacking trips. Super lightweight, weighs hardly anything. You can see it just float in the air. GSI Micro Duelist. Also for my stove, using standard mini stove propane cans, I have an MSR pocket rocket. Now, I love the name of it, super hilarious, but the stove, super small, super compact. If I wanted to, I could put it inside my Micro Duelist cook set, but I don't. I like to keep it separate in case I need to use it for other stuff, mainly like if someone's super cold and maybe like kind of chilled or wet, I can light the stove, keep them warm, give them something to stare at so they're a little bit more happy. But the pocket rocket stove from MSR, I've been using this thing for 3 or 4 years now, has never failed me, never messed up, and I've carried it all over the place. Wonderful little stove, I recommend it. It's cheap too. All right, so, oh, more food. Spare parts for my iPro. Generally I wear ESS ices, we went over that in the last video. This is all the spare parts to it, so extra bridge pieces for your ears and your nose, extra lenses, anti-fog, cleaning wipes, all that's in here. Also, just in case, not even really so much for myself, but for other people, I carry extra iPro. So lots of dudes forget or lose their iPro or do something dumb or fall down or whatever. So I always carry an extra set of iPro for the players, all my friends, anybody like that, because God forbid you're out in the middle of the wilderness, you fall down, you lose your iPro, and then you just can't play anymore. So I always carry an extra set. These are the Pyramex ones that you can get off our website. They're pretty good. These have dual pane thermals in them, so they kind of keep most of the fog away. It's all right. It's a nice cheap pair though, so it's something that I don't mind losing if like I have to. Going along with my sleep system, I also have a pillow. You'd be really surprised how happy you are to get your head off the ground. So what I do is I have an inflatable Cocoon micro pillow. I love this pillow. You blow it up to however hard you want the pillow to be. So if you like it super stiff, you just blow it up all the way. Me, I like to deflate it a little bit so it's a little softer. It's got a felt side so it can be nice and soft on your face. I love this pillow. And the best part is that, you know, when all the air is out of it, it packs down smaller than my fist. So it's something I can lay down flat inside my ruck, get it out of the way, pack it towards the bottom. Nice to have a pillow. Spare knee pads. So lots of dudes lose their cry knee pads all the time. I always carry an extra set for myself. Generally I like to wear pants that are field style so that they have an enclosed knee pad so they don't fall out. But just in case, I always have an extra set of knee pads. These ones are cry. In the LBX pants I'm wearing right now, these are the 3DO ones that work also in the Plat Attack pants. Both sets of knee pads are really good, but I always carry an extra set just in case. Cold weather head wrap, in case I want to cover my neck or anything like that. Now, we go into my extra clothes. So this is always going to change depending on the season. If it's cold weather, I'm going to have different cold weather equipment in there. Kind of like more like Matt's video. Matt had a lot of cold weather stuff in there. This is a little bit more warm weather oriented, so it's got a lot lighter on the cold weather gear and stuff like that. This is a Sea to Summit dry bag. I'm a big fan of the Sea to Summit brand dry bags. These are super great. This one in particular, they're a tiny bit more expensive. I'd say probably like $5 to $10 versus the normal dry bags, but this is an evac bag. So what the evac bag does is that when you roll it all up, as you roll it up, you can crush the air out of it and really pack it down very tight. So I'm not gonna pull everything out of here, but just to show you, just so you have a sight of what's in here, because I can evacuate all the air out of here, I have 2 extra t-shirts, 2 extra base layers, the REI silky long sleeve zip layers, the ones with the collars on them. I prefer the ones with collars personally. An extra set of Cries, an extra set of Poly Pros, 5 pairs of socks. All of that is in this volume rolled up, and then as you can see, because it's the evac bag, there's air in it right now. Then I can just push and all the air gets evacuated out without breaking the waterproof seal on it. So this keeps my clothing dry and happy so that I don't have to worry about my stuff getting wet, and then I just keep packing it down until it's good to go. You roll it shut and then you clip it. There you go. Pack down that much clothing in a volume that's roughly 1.5 times the size of a football, maybe 2 times the size of a football. It's really, really convenient because then I can get all of this stuff inside this little ruck. This is only like a 3-day extended ruck, so if the tighter you can get everything packed with compression sacks and dry bags and stuff like that, the better off you'll be. It'll also make it easier for you to balance the load inside your ruck so that way you're happier. Very big deal. A couple other external features of the ruck that I just kind of want to go over now that everything's out of it. On the inside, there's about 7 or 8 different zipper pockets with mesh lining so that you can organize all of your stuff. Also on the outside of the ruck, for emergency purposes, there's also a built-in VS17 panel, which I can use to get people's attention by calling on the radio if I have someone that's hurt or anything like that. I can set them next to my ruck, pull the VS17 panel, and help guide people in to help get people out. Kind of like emergency type situations, stuff like that. Also, like I was saying, Molly everywhere. It's a great, great ruck. This is the Tactical Tailor one though. There's also a Grey Ghost version if you want to try to save some money. It's just made a slightly lighter nylon. This is made of 1000 denier Cordura. So there you go. I think that's just about everything. If you guys have any questions, once again though, feel free to ask them. All right, guys, so I hope that now you guys see all the stuff that I carry, coming from my first video with all of my Cadre stuff and GPSs and all that stuff I use to help take care of people, to my sustainment gear, the stuff I use to take care of myself. If you have any questions about any brands or anything like that, or any suggestions, feel free to comment down below. Thanks for stopping by. Feel free to subscribe if you like the video. Constructive criticism is always welcome. But anyways, thank you for watching my stuff. I'll catch you guys on the flip. Deuces.